everybody, my name is Erin Walsh, Dyer, the bookkeeper's friend. Chances are you found this video because you're looking for some additional answers or maybe some knowledge in the new offering QuickBooks Online Advanced. Well, you've come to the right place. I have a passion for working in and teaching anything QuickBooks. Why? Well, lots of reasons, but mostly because the QuickBooks Online ecosystem allows a work-life balance that just wasn't available a few years ago. In my own firm, we encourage the work from anywhere lifestyle. So if you have small children, you can work from home. If you want to work part-time or remote, not a problem. Or if you're like me and like to travel a lot, you can work from the road almost anywhere. We also like to partner with other accounting firms no matter where they are in their journey. So if you're a larger firm and you need training for your team and your clients, we can help. Because I love the freedom of cloud accounting, I was really honored when Intuit asked me to write a series of webinars on their new offering QuickBooks Online Advanced. In this series, I cover how QuickBooks Online Advanced can accelerate data entry and help us better serve our mid-market, rapidly growing clients. I hope you enjoy them. If you ever have any questions or you want to learn more about our training series or you just want to talk shop, feel free to reach out to me in San Diego, Erin Walsh Dyer at the Bookkeeper's Friend. Enjoy your webinar.
Hello everyone and welcome to Moving Your Client to QuickBooks Online Advanced. Today's webinar is about actually moving physically your client's books from one offering to QuickBooks Online Advanced. And I like to make sure I mention that in the beginning because sometimes there's a little bit of a confusion about QuickBooks Online Advanced certification, which is a Pro Advisor designation for when you get advanced certified. This is about QuickBooks Online Advanced, which is Intuit's latest offering in QuickBooks Online. It's a version of QuickBooks Online that's more robust than QuickBooks Online Plus and has a lot more features. So the purpose of this webinar is we've done the research and we want to go ahead and move our client from whatever QuickBooks they have now to this latest offering. So hopefully you're here for the right reason and you want to learn how to move your client to QuickBooks Online Advanced. So let's get going. A little bit about myself first. My name is Erin Walsh Dyer. I am a Advanced Pro Advisor, which is a certification. I'm also a member of Intuit's Trainer Writer Network. My firm is located in San Diego, California, and we focus on coaching, conversions, and we also like doing setups and fixes. So we kind of get people who are trying to get into QuickBooks Online or maybe already jumped in and, you know, we're in there playing around and not really sure what to do next. So we get in there, assess the situation, decide if they should be converted or maybe we could fix the file they have now, and then of course train them in their workflows. Because we have cloud accounting now, we're working simultaneously in some cases with our clients. So we really want to make sure that they are coached through their processes properly. So my firm's completely switched out from doing bookkeeping to coaching and setups and things like that. I also like to mention that we love working with other bookkeepers and accountants who are moving to QBO. And maybe you might have questions about your next steps once you get certified or trying to build your practice. Feel free to reach out to me if you just want to, talk about that or you have any questions. And there's my email address right there, Erin@bookkeepersfriend.com. So that's me. This is a little bit of housekeeping. QuickBooks University is a place where you can go and get free resources that Intuit has put out for you, including webinars like the one you're attending now. If you go to QBTrainingEvents.com, that's where you will be able to access some of these training events like webinars, in-person training, and the virtual conference. The in-person training is picking up again in September. So go to QBTrainingEvents.com and see if the tour is coming to a city near you. We're going all over the United States and we'll be presenting not just QuickBooks certification, things like growing your practice. For those of you who are advanced certified, we're going to have the QuickBooks Masterclass, which is a 2-day event with several trainers, and we're going to dig deep into QuickBooks Online. And there's a lot of other things in there too. So look at QBTrainingEvents.com for some more training if you're interested. Another thing to subscribe to would be the QBO blog, which is a great way to stay on top of the the latest, greatest things going to QuickBooks Online. It's nice to know what's going to be rolling out or what's trending right now with QuickBooks Online before your client calls you and says, hey, what's this new tab, or whatever it is that's in QBO. So the blog is a great place to stay on top of that. The Firm of the Future blog is more about practice management, building your firm, learning about things like value pricing. Great place to go get some resources on that. And then, of course, Marketing Hub is available now to pro advisors. And this is a place where you can pick up some marketing templates and things like that that Intuit has put together for us so we can then start marketing our practice. So free stuff. Go ahead and make use of this. I also should point out that you need to jump over to the chat area or the handouts area of GoToWebinar and download the PDF copy of this slide presentation that I have. These are all live links, so when you're looking at the PDF, you could click through and actually open that site. So make sure you get that, because as soon as we wrap the meeting, it's, you won't have access to those areas. So I want you to go ahead and get those as soon as you can. So click over there and pick it up. So this has been a series we started, I believe, in June, and we've been running 3 webinars a month. This is one of them, Moving Your Clients to QuickBooks Online Advanced. There are 2 others. Last week I did the deep dive where we actually went in and looked at features and played around with them. And then Serving High Value Clients was earlier in the month. Again, go to qbtrainingevents.com if you would like to register for next month. Maybe you missed one of these, and maybe in September you want to pick up your education in QuickBooks Online Advanced. These are all free webinars, free CPE. Speaking of CPE, you will qualify for 1 hour of CPE. The way we know that you are here and attending is I'm going to present some polling questions periodically throughout the hour, and we just want to make sure you answer those. Some of them are related to the content that I just presented, and some of them are just, questions about, your practice or whatever it is you're doing. So again, there's no wrong answers here. We just want to make sure you're attending and you're here. You didn't just log in and walk away. So your CPE certificates will be emailed to you to the same email address that you registered with. So look for those in your inBin in the next few weeks. If you're not seeing them, check your spam folder or one of those subfolders you might be filtering emails. Just make sure it's not hidden somewhere. And let's get right into the agenda. So there's 2 ways we're going to go about this. One of them is moving from other QuickBooks Online offerings. So you may have a client who's using QuickBooks Essentials, and through all your assessment, you've decided, you know what, QBO Advanced is what they need. Might be the smart reporting, might be user permissions, I don't know, but something's making you move them. And we're going to show you how to get them moved over in just a few clicks. So that's kind of great. It's just an upgrade, and I'll show you that in a moment. The more, not difficult, but one that you should consider, have a lot more consideration, is moving from desktop. So we're going to talk about the conversion tool and what it has and has not. So these are things you need to really consider before upgrading, because, desktop has some features that online does not. And sometimes the platform's a little different. We'll talk about getting into the conversion tool and then looking at the accounting history in desktop to make sure that it's ready to move over to online. So that's things to think about before making the decision to upgrade. So if you pass all that, then we'll jump into, hey, let's get this done. We're going to actually convert from desktop to online, and we have 3 steps in there: pre-conversion, conversion, and post-conversion. So that's how I'm going to help you all out today. By the way, throughout this PDF, there are lots of resources. We're covering quite a bit, but there's always more. So we have a lot of links in here that'll take you to resource documents that might help you as you are physically doing those conversions. So that's for you. So make sure you download those PDFs. So the first topic is moving from other QBO offerings. So the client is in QBO, need to get them upgraded to Advanced. How does that happen? So we'll talk about the sequence, where to start, and then the difference in the upgrade process based on billing status. That's kind of odd, but it's true. And so this is it. I have a screenshot here I will show you in product, But basically, if your client is in one version of QBO, and when I say QuickBooks QBO, I mean QuickBooks Online. This does not mean QuickBooks Self-Employed, which is a different offering. There's only now four QuickBooks Onlines. We've got Simple Start, Essentials, and Plus, and then any one of those can be upgraded to QuickBooks Online Advanced. So the first thing we have to verify is who is paying for QuickBooks Online at this point. So if it's the firm and you figure that out, you would go in QBOA and go to the gear right up there on that top green bar, click your account, and then go to the client that's listed on your wholesale bill. And then there's an action button where you can actually hit the drop down and click upgrade to advanced. Pretty quick, not too bad. So that's if the firm's paying. If the client is paying, we actually have to go into the client's QBO, go to their gear, account and settings, and in that screen, there's a billing and subscription tab. At that point, you'll see this screenshot at the bottom here that it says QuickBooks Plus. We would be upgrading or downgrading right from there. So I'm going to take you actually into a live QuickBooks Online so you can see where all these are. But again, you have this screenshot for later on if you happen to need it. So let's talk about, first of all, a client who is paying their own subscription. So I'm physically in Terry's Tech, logged in, clicked into their file, and I'm going to go to Gear, and we're going to go to Account and Settings. So we've assessed that Terry is paying her own bill. So I'm going to click there, and then a way you can actually tell if Terry's paying is this tab. It will not be here if this QBO is on the wholesale bill for the firm or another firm's wholesale bill. Won't even be there. So billing and subscription means the client is paying themselves. So I'm going to click there. And you can see right here, here's the screenshot I gave you. They're in Plus, and I can hit upgrade. So there we go. That's pretty much it. It's a quick upgrade. Now, the fees definitely go up, right? Different price point because it's a different offering. So I have a firm here. It's a fake firm I use for demos. And in this case, the firm is paying for this. So I'm at the main dashboard for the firm. We're going to go to the gear. And we're going to go to your account, which all of this is on that screenshot I showed you. And we're going to look at the wholesale bill. We will see we right now have two clients on our wholesale bill. Awesome Stuff Retail Store is using QBO Essentials. Fast Track is already in QBO Advanced. So over here where I click Select Action, you can quickly jump them to Plus, or in this case, QuickBooks Online Advanced. By the way, if we upgrade on our wholesale bill to Advanced, we can buy QBO Advanced at a wholesale price, which is $105 a month. It's normally $150 a month. So that's for the lifetime of the subscription until pricing changes again. But right now it's 30% off lifetime. Okay, I'm going to actually go back to my client, go to the client, and I'm going to go back into Fast Track because we're going to look at them a little bit later. Okay, so those are the two options. So, okay, I want my client to go to QBO Advanced. How do I know how to do that? You got to figure out who's paying the bill. So that's basically it. But it's a click away, and I did demo that. So the next thing you're going to get is this nice little congratulations. Yeah, all the data will still be there, but they're just going to have some amazing new features that are in QBO Advanced. So this is a bigger pill to swallow here. So we need to do some serious considering before upgrading. In some cases, you might want to just start fresh. And I've had clients who do that. They look at their data in QB Desktop, and it's been a mess for years anyway. Do you really want to upgrade all that over, or do you want to start fresh at the beginning of the fiscal year or whenever they like? So really look at the data before you just pull it over to from desktop to online. So this is what we're going to be working with in this section. Recognize what capabilities the conversion tool actually has. There are platform differences. Some things do not exist in online that exist in desktop. Is that something that's going to keep them from wanting to upgrade? And then is the accounting history clean? Sometimes our clients have been using QuickBooks for a decade, and they've been doing all kinds of things with classes and their chart of accounts. And do you really want all of that moved over? So we need to look at the accounting history as it exists in Desktop. And then how do we get to the conversion tool? We need the latest version of it because if you have an older version of the conversion tool, it may not talk to the newer QuickBooks Online. So I'll show you how to get to all of that. So first bit of news here is the conversion tool actually exists in QuickBooks Desktop. And because there is significant differences in the database between desktop and online, we need to understand that not everything will directly convert using this tool. Most of the data will, pretty quick, pretty easy, but we need to be prepared for what will not. So let's go find out what this tool can do for us and what it cannot. So I've divided this up into like 4 sections. So we're going to talk about lists. Those are the specific lists that are in desktop, converting to a list in online. Chart of accounts, budget, vendors, employees, that kind of stuff. So first of all, list status. So active, inactive, deleted. How does that come over? So what I've done is on the left here, under list status, it says active in desktop. So that represents desktop, would come over as active in online. So an active product, an active line item on the chart of accounts comes right over, not a problem. Inactive in desktop will come over as inactive in online. Now, online edition has something called deleted as well on the chart of accounts. There is no true delete on a list item in QuickBooks Online. It's just inactive. Even though it says deleted in QuickBooks Online, it's just hiding. It's inactive. You could activate it again. So basically, inactive becomes inactive. Okay? The other thing we want to mention is cleaning up data, and we'll get to that later. If you start deleting rows out of desktop, if you can, they won't come over. So the deleted line items won't come over. So the active and inactive only. Okay, the chart of accounts. So the bank account numbers and notes are not converted, but the chart of accounts is. So if you have account numbers on your chart of accounts, that's fine. But the bank account numbers, it's a field that's in desktop that is not existent in online, and it just doesn't come over. Detail type. The conversion tool will add a detail type automatically because it is a required field in online. And then once it does, you should go through the chart of accounts and verify how the conversion tool added that detail type, because you may want to review that and make some changes. So you would edit each row on the chart of accounts and take a look at that. Budgets. The budget will come over, but only profit and loss budget. The budget feature in QuickBooks Online is basically for the P&L only. You can run a budget on the balance sheet, but it's not perfect. The P&L, yes, it's going to convert over no problem, and only the P&L budgets that you have in desktop will come over. The budget feature only exists in Plus and Advanced, but if you were converting them to Essentials, no budget at all. So just something to consider. Customers and jobs, that hierarchy that you have in the customer center with a sub job, that will come over, not a problem. But there are some customer fields in QuickBooks Desktop that are non-existent in QBO. So you may have to get in there and do some custom fields. Now that you have a really great custom fields feature in QBO Advanced, you can maybe add some of those fields that they are missing in or not able to have in regular QBO. So just something to do. And by the way, if you're going to add some extra data like that and custom fields during your setup of this client after conversion, that's an add-on. So that might be something, hey, I need you to go through these 1,000 customers and add these fields. So make sure that that's not included in your regular price to convert. You need to add that on. The vendors list comes through no problem, and the employees list. So that will end up in the vendor center and the employee area under workers in QBO. Group items. So group items are products in QuickBooks Desktop. And they come through as basically each line item is, I want to say bundled together, but they're grouped together. And then it gives you the total of the group. So if you're using groups in desktop, it might be that there's a certain package that your client sells to some customers, things like, let's say it's a massage therapist. They have a massage, and then they have a facial package, and then you get these products, and they group those together and it's the total of all, it's the sum of all the components. So that's a group in Desktop. It converts to a bundle, and that's a terminology difference. It's called a group in Desktop. It's a bundle in Online. Now, it will remain a bundle on any existing sales items, like an invoice or a sales receipt. But if the group is ever purchased in Desktop, on a bill or a check, when it comes over on the conversion, it's no longer bundled. There will be individual items, but they're not going to be bundled together as they are in Desktop. So another thing to think about. Multi-currency does come over. However, if your client has any transactions with 3 currency types on a single transaction, they will not convert. And then other names, there is no other names list in QuickBooks Online. So all other names are converted to vendors. So you should really look through that other names list before you make that switch. Okay, so that's how lists come over. Now we're going to talk about sales transactions. Estimates do come over. Active ones are marked as closed. Inactive are marked as rejected by the conversion tool. So another thing to take a look at once everything comes over. Estimates that are used in progress invoicing in Desktop no longer have that link from estimate to invoice. So you might have to do, if they do want those connected, that's another workflow there for you. So just make sure your client is aware that they will no longer be linked. Sales orders convert to estimates because there is no sales order feature in QuickBooks Online. Invoices, a PO number on an invoice in Desktop will convert as a new custom field. Sales reps will convert as a new custom field automatically by the tool. Progress invoices, some fields are not available. If you look to the right of this screen, I have a screenshot of all the estimate fields that are available. Not all of those are in Online. So you just got to consider what's available and what is not. So some of those fields may not come over. Discounts in Desktop. The customer discount comes over as a credit memo in Online. Finance charges. So if you're using the finance charge feature in the Customer Center in Desktop, they convert all those finance charges into individual invoices. And then QuickBooks payments. The existing transactions, meaning people who have paid using QB payments in Desktop, all those transactions absolutely will convert. However, at the moment of conversion in Online, you will have to reconnect the merchant account so they can email invoices and, use it the way they were in Desktop. So that is sales transactions and things that convert. Let me just see if there's any questions so far on any of this, but it looks like Woody's got it. Okay, so that's good. Let's talk about expense transactions. Purchase orders come over, not a problem. Bills, no problem. Item receipts, that is in Desktop, you receive an item, but you don't have a bill yet. That type of transaction does not exist in QuickBooks Online. So an item receipt will convert to a bill. A bill will affect accounts payable. So look at item receipts in Desktop. How many are there? It's going to make a change to AP once the conversion tool completes. Vendor credits come over. Discounts, a vendor discount will come over as a vendor credit. Checks come over as checks. However, if that check in Desktop paid a bill, in Online it will come over as a bill payment check. Say credit cards, there is no credit card form, a credit card charge form in QuickBooks Online. Those credit card charges come over as expenses, unless, of course, that credit card charge paid an existing bill. Then it will come over as a bill payment. Okay, payroll. Payroll, the existing payroll history does come over. However, in Desktop Edition, the form is a little different. It's called a paycheck. But the conversion tool does not convert it to a paycheck form. It comes over as a regular check, but it's split out according to how it was in the original paycheck, so that no values are going to change or anything. It's just going to be a regular check split. But when you do connect the new payroll service, so it might be if you're already using Intuit Online Payroll with Desktop, you could absolutely connect that to Online. But if you want to switch to a subscription, a payroll subscription inside QBO, you're going to connect that, and then the new payroll will definitely be entered on a paycheck form. but it's just the history comes over on a regular check form. Okay, that's expenses. And what comes over? Looks like no questions, so I'll move on to other. So there's other things. Budgets, I mentioned already. P&L budgets will come over to advanced. Not a problem. Now, journal entries are a little different in QBO, and the one that's really important to know is if your client is using journal entries in desktop and marking rows billable to a customer, that box where you check it and say bill this to the customer is not available in QuickBooks Online. So that billable status will not come over. Another thing to verify before you do the conversion. Okay, so what does not convert? We're moving on to the next topic. So that was what does with some limitations. Now we're moving on to what does not. So the existing audit trail in desktop stays in desktop. A new one will start at the moment you start using QBO. So you might want to keep that data file as an archive, and something if you need to go back and look at historical audit logs, you've got it in desktop. And then the new one starts in online as soon as you start working in it. Attachments in desktops do not come over. There is an attachment center in QuickBooks Online where you can start maybe uploading some attachments if you want to bring them over. Might be a lot of work if they have a lot. Again, that could be an add-on, an additional fee for you to get all that over there and link them if possible. Or just keep desktop as an archive, and you can use desktop when you need to look up at the attachments. The closing date does convert. So if you close the books in desktop, not a problem, but the password does not. So if you've added a password to the closing date in desktop, you need to reset that. QuickBooks payments, we already talked about. The connection does not convert. So you need to link that as soon as you get the data or the file converted to QBO. Passwords need to be reset. Users need to be set up. I should add a row there, new users. You got to set all them up again. Reconciliation history does not come over. And there is a point that you need to know that the reconciliation needs to be set right after conversion. And we'll talk about that a little bit later when we do the post-conversion work. But the history's not there, and we need to do an initial reconciliation once the file converts, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. The bank feed, mentioned that, got to reconnect that. No, I didn't mention that. You do need to reconnect the bank feed. That's not going to automatically happen for you. So you and your client need to get together and key in that password again and get those bank accounts connected. Customization. So custom fields, some of them the tool will create a custom field. So they'll create sales rep in QBO as soon as the data converts. So you will have sales reps. Memorized reports, another add-on. If you have a series of memorized reports in desktop, you're going to make those in online. It might take a little bit of work, another fee if they want you to do that. Pending sales, price levels, they do not come over. In QuickBooks Online, they're called price rules. And right now it does not convert, so you need to absolutely set up the price rules if they're using that in desktop. So it's another add-on. Recurring credit card charges. So if you have recurring sales receipts in desktop that are pinging QuickBooks payments and bringing in that money automatically, needs to be set up again in online. And then all your sales templates with your logo and the color scheme and all of that, something that needs to be addressed. There is a resource article here that really gets into this. What doesn't convert is the name of it. So it's a longer resource article, so feel free to click on that when you're going through and making the assessment, whether you want to go from desktop to online. Okay, so that is that information. Some other things to consider. There are platform differences, and one of the most important ones are if your client has inventory. If they're using inventory in desktop, chances are they are on average costing. So if they're average costing their inventory, it is going to be converted to FIFO should you choose to bring over inventory. So it's a really important thing to consider. The conversion tool will actually capture the weighted average of the existing inventory items in desktop at the moment of the conversion, and you choose a date that you're going to start tracking inventory. Once in QuickBooks Online, the average value will be divided by quantity to determine the value of the first FIFO layer for each of these products. So you need to think about that and decide if that's what you want. Your costing method is changing, and you do need to make sure that the IRS knows that you're changing costing methods for this client. So you will be presented with this question during the conversion tool. So that's why I've got a screenshot of it for you. You might consider not converting if your client wants to stay in average costing. So you could replicate or do inventory in an outside app and just have the app bring across the changes to inventory and keep that average costing going. So there are third-party apps that will stay with average costing for you. Okay, that's a serious thing to consider. And then terminology. I don't think I've caught all of them, but these are some of the main ones that, we're used to saying items in Desktop, which is the things that the client sells to their customers. So it's the product list. In QuickBooks Online, it's called products and services. So just terminology. I do need to point out there are some screens in QuickBooks Online that also call it an item. So the list itself is called products and services, and then if you're digging in, it'll say items sometimes. So, but it means what they sell. Memorized reports would be custom reports. That's different. Memorized transactions are called recurring in online. Preferences in Desktop is where you go and turn features on and off and kind of customize the experience of the software for the client. In QuickBooks Online, that is called account and settings, where you can turn things on and off. And then I already mentioned price levels is price rules in QuickBooks Online. So just some other things to know. Now we're going to talk about accounting history. I'm going to quickly check to see if there's any questions, but I don't see one. So, okay. Thank you, Woody. He's doing a great job. Okay, so now we're going to verify the accounting history. And I mentioned this, when we were going through the agenda. There are some things that could be going on in Desktop that once you get it to online, you'll be saying, why did we convert this? We should have waited, or we should have fixed a few things first. So we're just giving you some bullet points of things to really look at in the client file and then make that decision. So first thing we want to talk about is negative inventory balances. Now, remember, we're going to FIFO. If they have oversold products in Desktop, FIFO is going to pick up the cost, what they paid for it, in order to come up with that FIFO layer. If there's no bill, because there's a negative inventory, they haven't even bought it yet in Desktop, what is QuickBooks Online going to do? If there's negative inventory. So what it does is it has no basis. So QBO will automatically value unpurchased items that have been sold. And how it does this is it goes to a cost of goods sold transaction, and it will assume the average cost is the same. So it might look at an existing bill that was already here. Or if there's no bill that you never bought inventory, maybe, I don't know, it will actually go to the item or product service. It will go to that actual item, and whatever was entered as its cost, when you set up a product service, it's going to use that. So, you really want to fix negative inventory balances before you do this conversion. AR and AP are important, so make sure that they are accurate. So run those AR and AP reports. Here's two that I've put on screen for you to run. Look at them with your client. Make sure these balances are accurate and unapplied credits are applied before converting over. So look at these reports with your client and just make sure that, if there's an old bill in there, you might want to address it. Maybe they just, paid it but didn't apply it to the bill, and I get all that stuff applied correctly. Unbilled costs. So these are things that you have marked, or your client has marked billable to a customer. This is really important. This needs to get cleaned up in Desktop. Why? Because it's so much easier to clean it up in Desktop. And the resource article below has a tip on how to get this done in batches. So for those of you unfamiliar with what unbilled costs is, basically when you have a money out transaction or a time transaction and you've marked it billable to a customer, those can kind of stack up as non-posting transactions, and they just sit there until you add them to an invoice. If they've been checking that box by mistake and you don't really want these unbilled costs, we need to get them cleaned up. So go to this resource article and get the step-by-step instructions on how to clean it up in Desktop. The reason this is so important, because if you convert a file that's got hundreds of unbilled costs that aren't real, and then you decide to make an account inactive in QBO that is associated with an unbilled cost, so that on the chart of accounts there's an unbilled cost that would go to a certain income account or cost account. If you try to make that account on the chart of account inactive, QBO will not let you until this is relieved, either invoiced or you can go through unbilled costs by one at a time and uncheck everything as billable. So much easier to do in Desktop. Make sure you go to the resource article if this happens to be an issue for your client. And then the final thing we want to look at here is looking at the reporting history for anomalies. So it's a good idea to run both the P&L and balance sheet with previous year comparison for the entire history of the file. The reason we're checking this is that some clients may have used their chart of accounts in very interesting ways in the past, right? I did have a client who set up cost of goods sold account and had everybody's name, all of her vendor names on the chart of accounts. You really need to see what went on before you were a part of their accounting. And is that something you want to clean up or maybe cut it off and just bring over a certain amount of the Desktop file? So you need to assess that and then make sure that you're looking at sub-accounts, and because they may have sub-accounts or inactive accounts that were used years ago that might come over. So you might also do this on class tracking. So if they're using class tracking in QuickBooks Desktop, run the same type of report showing all columns by class and just see if there's an old class in there that's like, what is this? Do we need to merge? What do we need to do to clean that all up before we bring it over? And again, in some cases, you may decide, you know, we'll just bring 5 years over. We're not going to bring everything, and you just cut it off. So that could be an option as well. All right. Make sure you get those resource articles. Okay. So the final thing we're going to do before we actually do a conversion is get the latest conversion tool. Where can you get the latest conversion tool? Well, it is actually in QuickBooks Desktop. So we mentioned at the top of this lesson that QuickBooks Online Conversion Tool is in QuickBooks Desktop. If your client is currently using the 2005 edition, let's say, of QuickBooks Desktop, which they may be, well, that older version of QuickBooks Desktop, that tool is never going to convert to the existing QuickBooks Online. Those two programs won't even talk to each other. So what we need to do is get that data file from 2005 edition up to 2019 edition of QuickBooks Online, QuickBooks Desktop. If you do not have the latest desktop, maybe you're 100% QBO firm and that's all you do, but you need to get a client moved over, you can download a free trial of QuickBooks Desktop in the current 2019 edition. It's a 30-day free trial, so just make sure you're ready to go with the conversion, and then install that downloaded software, move the client's data over, it's basically an upgrade, reopen it in the new software, and then you're gonna go ahead and convert. Now, these screenshots are how you can get to the free trial. We're actually in QuickBooks Online, in QBOA, and in the gear at the very top right, it says Import Desktop Data. So when you click there, so again, we're at QBOA at your client list. Click the gear, click Import Desktop Data, and you'll see the screenshot in the background has a little hyperlink that says download a free trial. So that's where you're going to get it. And again, this screenshot's for you guys. So when and if you need it, you can go access that. All right, so we've gone through what you should consider before saying, yes, this is a go. So we put a little checklist here. We recognize there are limitations of the conversion tool. You understand there's platform differences and some things may change. There are no, for instance, sales orders, right? It's going to convert to an estimate. We understand all that. We've verified the database is ready. Awesome. And then you've updated the desktop file to the latest QuickBooks Desktop. Why? So we can get to the latest conversion tool. So I'm going to answer Flora's question how do I know about pricing on an outside app? So it must have been about inventory, let's say. I think that's probably where this came up. Is there an outside app that can still do average costing? I don't have to convert. And when you are logged into your QuickBooks Online accounting firm, we normally land on the client list, but if you scroll down just a little bit, it says apps. In here, we can search for things like inventory, and there are all kinds of inventory apps. I'll just go to SOS, and you can see pricing right here. So you can start shopping on the app. Here it is, $39 a month. It just depends on how many users, I guess. Every app's a little different. So definitely price it out, talk to other pro advisors who are using it, get a demo, but just go to apps and you can actually search for the app you're looking for. So every app developer has their own pricing. Okay, good question. Thank you for that. I'm going to go back into Terry's Tech. And now we're going to do a conversion. Okay, we've made the assessment and everything's ready to roll. We're all good. So let's move on. Let's get her done. Okay, the conversion tool is pretty good. It does a lot. Most of the database will come over, but now we understand what will and what will not and what to look for. So now let's just talk about how to prepare both QuickBooks Online and QuickBooks Desktop for this conversion, because we're moving forward, and then how to initiate that conversion, and then what to do post-conversion. Now, this is an overview. Again, we have resource documents if you really want to dig into post-conversion checklists and things like that. So the first thing we need to do is we need a landing place for this converted data. So what we do is to go into QuickBooks Online in your QBOA if you're setting it up for your client, and you're going to create a new subscription. So actually, I'm going to go over, back out to my accounting firm by clicking Accountant. And when we're out at the overall firm, we can click the gear. I'll just show you where it is. And, oh, sorry, not that one, the plus sign. I love the gear, so I went there. I shouldn't have. This is where we want to go. We want to create a new client. A client is a new person or company on this list we're looking at. By the way, user is a team member in your firm, one of your employees or subcontractors. But we're talking about a new client subscription. So we need a landing place. We're going to click client. It's going to load. There it goes. Put in the business name, the email address for the person who owns the company, display name, that's for your firm, how they're going to be listed on your list. And then here's where we decide we're going to pay for it at $105 a month, or send it to the client. They will get a discount for 6 months, so it's half off for 6 months now. That has absolutely changed because their pricing was a little bit different, I think, last week. So then they'll know what the pricing is. They get 6 months off, and then it jumps back up to $150. So then you just choose, okay, we're going to put it on our wholesale bill. And then, oh, what else do I need to add? Oh, I need a name. I'm not going to fill this all out, but basically you fill it in and you hit save. And lo and behold, you have a new client, a new QBO, advanced right here on this list. So that's how it's done. Now, recommend that you log out. Just absolutely go up to here and sign out if you're going straight to the conversion. Why? Because the conversion tool makes you log back in. So it's just nice to get on out of there and sign out of your firm. Okay, back to my screenshot. So sign out, it's right on the screenshot for you guys. Okay, I already demoed it. So now we need to get the desktop file ready for conversion. So now we're jumping over to I actually have a file here in desktop. There it is. This is a company called Fast Track Wholesale, and we're ready to move them over. So what we're going to do is get that file ready. And so what we need to do is do a little bit of verification. First of all, the conversion tool has limitations, like we said. One of them is how much data it can process through. So what I'm going to do is hit F2 on this keyboard. So I'm going to hit F2 and open this product information screen. Right here, total targets is what we're looking for. The conversion tool can only do 350,000 targets. This file only has 25,000. So this is okay. The conversion tool can handle this data. So that's step one. I'm just going to go ahead and close that. I do want to point out on my presentation here, it will convert Also, tap F2 is right here to verify the targets. And then you can merge or condense data if you need to. Another thing we need to do is verify data and rebuild data. I'll show you where that is in my little file. Excuse me, file, utilities, verify data. So we're going to run that. It's going to go through the database and make sure everything is running okay. Sometimes after the verification tool finishes, it's going to ask you to rebuild data, which will clean the database up. I run rebuild anyway and just get that done before I do a conversion. So you're going to use these two utilities. If you need to condense the data, that is a whole other, it's outlined in the resource documents, but basically you can clean the data file and maybe remove prior years up to a certain date and get rid of that before you convert. So maybe you have too many targets. Condensing data might be an option. Okay, so those are the utilities you're going to run. Back over here, verify, then rebuild, check for targets, and if you need to merge lists that are unnecessary or condense data, feel free to do that. And this is a link to a resource document on that. So make sure you download this. So now we're going to start the actual conversion. So let me get that going. Not in online. I got to scroll past all my company files here. We're going to go to the company menu, and we are going to export the company file to QuickBooks Online. Okay, so make sure you do that. And again, make sure I have 2019 edition here. You can see up here it's 2019. So I have the latest edition of the conversion tool. So this will start that process. So I'm going to start my export. I have to log into my firm. This is why I logged out. Here we go. Hopefully I typed that right. I did. So for some reason it's being a little slow, but that is basically how it works. So you're just going to follow the on-screen prompts. Now I also need to, once it says start your export, you will get an email once all that happens. This is a screenshot of, hey, we're converting it. Usually takes 30 minutes, sometimes more if you have a large database, but just look for that email. And then you can just log into your QBOA again, and then that converted data will be there. If your client is using QuickBooks Enterprise, the F2 key does not work. You must do a little trick here. On your keyboard, you're going to hold down Control+1, and that will open product information. And then you're going to hit Control plus the letter B and the letter Q, and nothing happens on screen. Once you do that, you hit OK, and then the conversion tool will prompt. So what I'm saying here, I'll go back over to the desktop. Oh, see, now it's doing it. I'm going to convert. I'll just say yes. I'll click you through these real quick. And then my start date, August 31st. I'll just show you some of these screens. Now this is going to pull my client list, and there's Fast Track, the new company, and then click continue. Make sure you choose the right company, and then say I agree to replace the data in QBOA, that client list, where that client's name is, with this data. So be very careful that you've chosen the right name, it's Fast Track, and it's the right one. I'm not going to actually do it, so, but that's kind of how the conversion tool starts. In Enterprise, this is not there. Export file to QBO. It's not there. So that's why we have to do those crazy Control BQ, and there's your instructions. So for those of you converting an Enterprise client, that's your instruction to open that conversion tool. All right, so I got you that. I showed you how to use the conversion tool. Okay, voila, it's over. You got the email, the data's moved over. We want to make sure everything went okay. In the email you receive, there will be, where I've highlighted on the right, it says review the attached summary report. It will show you how the conversion went, if there were any issues, and you'll at least have that. I also need to point out that when you need to verify the financial reports, we want the balance sheet to look just like the balance sheet in Desktop, right? So we're going to run a balance sheet, all dates accrual basis, a profit and loss, all dates accrual basis, an inventory valuation summary, open invoices, unpaid bills, run all of those in both systems, make sure everything's okay. Big note at the bottom here, the first three reports will not match if you're switching costing methods to FIFO. okay? We didn't in the file I converted, so I'm going to quickly go into two spots right now. I'm going to go over to Fast Track Wholesale. So this is the one I converted. And here I have already opened on this tab the profit and loss. And when the instructions say all dates, accrual basis. Same with the balance sheet. All dates, accrual basis. Perfect. Okay, what I'm going to do now is go to this desktop file. And I've already opened these under window menu. These are open windows in desktop. I'm going to go to profit and loss. It's already open, and this again is all dates, accrual basis. What I'm going to do is kind of click back and forth, so prepare your eyeballs for this. Under this row, all dates, accrual basis, we've got 11,201,973.51. Go back over to QBO, to that P&L, and we're just going to compare row by row. Every single one of these should be identical. Down all the way to the bottom, let's just say we've checked them all. Net income is $1.6 million. Let's go on to the bottom line here. Here's that same number. So we know the P&L converted fine. I'm going to jump over to the balance sheet here. Again, all dates, accrual basis. I'm going to go over to online. We're going to check. I like to first just check like the total assets, because if that matches, chances are everything above it is correct. But I still check row by row. Scrolling all the way down, liabilities and equities should be the same number. There it is. Again, do row by row. Don't do the fast version that I'm doing, because we only have a minute left. All right, so just make sure that you verify those financial reports. There's some other things in your presentation that you should be checking. Sales tax payments do not automatically go to the sales tax center in QBO. So before you reconcile, you need to replace the existing sales tax payment with a sales tax payment in the sales tax center in QBO. Replace that and then reconcile. You do have to do an initial reconciliation as well. Got to set up payroll, check inventory, make sure that's fine, set up your users and permissions, look at company info, make sure the address, phone numbers, all that is correct. Do that initial reconciliation that's based on the final reconciliation in desktop. Add any attachments if they want it. And then here we want to clean up lists if possible, customize sales templates, reconnect apps, reconnect payments, reconnect bank feeds, set closing dates. So just some more things. Again, those resource documents really dig deep here. So if your clients just moved to QBO Advanced, take advantage of Priority Circle. This customer success manager is so helpful. They are here to support you and the client. So get introduced to them and start working with them and let them help you. Priority tech support, if anything comes up, you're right at the front of the line. Look at Fathom reporting. See if they need custom fields. Maybe some of those fields didn't come over in the customer center from desktop. That's a custom field. You can add those now. You have up to 10. If they're just learning, you might mirror QBO and desktop for a few weeks or a month. Sometimes clients feel a little more comfortable entering it in both places until they get used to how it looks. Always keep the desktop as a backup just in case you need to look at the audit log or attachments or whatever else. And then finally, I have a client that I still am exchanging accountant's copies with. I wish I could get him to online, but he just doesn't want to go. I love the freedom of QBO because I have instant access to their file. I don't have to wait a month or two for that information to get them caught up. So please enjoy that, and plus the support that the CSM is going to give you. All right, just some more resources. If you need any more information, Fathom has really great training. Look at their webinars if you want to get familiar with that. Thank you all very much for joining me today. If you ever need help or have any questions, my name's Erin, and I'm at the Bookkeeper's Friend in San Diego. I'm happy to help you out. So you guys have a great afternoon. Thanks.
Thanks for watching today. There is so much opportunity with this powerful new version of QuickBooks. We have just scratched the surface of QuickBooks Online Advanced. Feel free to reach out to me, Erin, at bookkeepersfriend.com. I would love to hear from you. You can also join the conversation. Join our QuickBooks Online Advanced Slack channel to give your feedback and ideas. Look for more from me on this channel.